All right, today we're taking a trip, a virtual trip that is, over to Africa. We're going to explore the absolutely incredible world of some of its most lively residents, monkeys. You know, from huge, wide-open savannas to super dense rainforests, we're about to find out what makes these primates so, well, so captivating.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off by looking at the sheer variety of monkeys out there. Then, we'll dive into how they're built and what they eat. After that, we'll get a peek into their complex social lives. And finally, we'll meet a few of Africa's most famous primate superstars. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, first up, Africa's amazing monkeys. Let's start with just the sheer scale of it all. You know, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around just how astounding the variety really is.
Get this, we're talking about more than 70 different species of monkeys calling Africa home. That is just incredible. All that diversity in how they look, how they act, and where they live, it really makes the continent a true hotspot for primate life.
And they're not all crammed into one type of environment either. Nope, these guys are super adaptable. You can find them almost everywhere, from snowy mountains like the Atlas Range, right on the edge of the Sahara, all the way to those thick, humid rainforests in the Congo, and even out on the vast, open savannas. Talk about versatile. So how in the world do they manage to thrive in so many different places? Well, a big part of the answer comes down to their amazing anatomy. Let's take a closer look at the incredible features that make them, well, built for action. Okay, so one thing's for sure, monkeys are masters of movement. It doesn't matter if they're living up in the trees or mostly on the ground, they've got these incredible hands and feet that are just perfectly made for gripping, branches, rocks, pretty much anything they need to grab onto. And you can really see how their bodies reflect their lifestyle. Take the Barbary macaque, for example. It's actually the only monkey in Africa that doesn't have a tail, which makes a lot of sense because it's perfect for a life spent on the ground. But then you look at a tree dweller like a guenon, and they have these super long tails that they use for balance, kind of like a rudder on a boat as they're leaping from branch to branch.
Oh, and you have to hear about this next adaptation. It's absolutely brilliant. A lot of monkeys, like the vervet, have these built-in cheek pouches, and they're exactly what they sound like, these little expandable pockets right in their cheeks. They can just stuff them full of food. It's kind of like having your own built-in grocery bags, right? So they can grab a bunch of snacks and then carry them off to a safer spot to eat later. How cool is that?
Okay, so with all that running around, climbing, and hanging out with each other, you gotta wonder, what do these monkeys eat to keep all that energy up? Let's dive into their world of food. Well, one of the biggest keys to their success is that for the most part, they are not picky eaters. Most of them are omnivores, which just means they eat a mix of plants and other things like insects, and that lets them adapt to whatever food they can find, wherever they happen to live.
Let's take the vervet monkey, for example. You'll find them out on the savanna, and their menu is all over the place. I mean, they'll eat sweet fruits, flowers, fresh leaves, seeds, but they also like to snack on things like tree gum, and they definitely won't turn down some insects or other little critters. And you know what? It's a pretty similar story for the baboon. Since they spend most of their time on the ground, they become masters at finding food just about anywhere. They'll eat grasses, they'll dig up roots and seeds, and yeah, they're total opportunists. They'll go after insects, birds, and even small rodents if they get the chance.
All right, but life isn't just about food and survival, right? Monkeys have these incredibly rich and complex social lives. So for our next section, let's dive into their amazing social networks and see just how they communicate and live together.
Okay, so first things first, let's get some of the names down. A group of monkeys? That's usually called a troop, or sometimes a horde. And inside that troop, you've got your adult males, your adult females, and of course, all the little ones, which we call infants or offspring.
Now, a massive part of living in a troop is something called grooming, and it's so much more than just keeping fur clean. You can think of grooming as like their social glue. It's how they build trust, how they show they care, and it's what really strengthens all the bonds that hold the group together.
And this grooming ritual, it actually tells you a lot about their social structure. There's often a clear hierarchy, or a pecking order. You'll see monkeys grooming the more dominant members of the troop. It's a way of showing respect and reinforcing everyone's place, which is super important for keeping the peace.
But they don't just groom, they talk too. They've got this whole rich language of sounds and body language. We're talking barks, cries. They even have specific calls for different kinds of danger. And some, like the vervet, use some pretty cool body language, like flashing their light-colored eyelids as a kind of signal to others. Okay, so we've looked at where they live, what they eat, how they're built, and how they talk to each other. Now, let's bring it all to life by meeting a few of the real stars of the show, some of Africa's most unique and incredible monkey species.
Let's spotlight just a few of these stars. First up, the mandrill. Hiding out in the rainforests, this guy is famous for being the world's most colorful monkey. Seriously, the colors are unreal. Then you've got the potus monkey out on the savannah. It's the fastest running primate out there. And then, way up in the Atlas Mountains, you have the Barbary macaque. Remember him? He's the only one in all of Africa with no tail.
So when you think about it, from those handy cheek pouches for stashing snacks to all the different calls they use to warn each other about danger, African monkeys are just equipped with this amazing set of tools for living in the wild. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Of all these incredible adaptations, which one do you think is the most fascinating key to their success?